Alright, so today's video is going to be a little bit different. We don't have a full video today, but we are going to be reacting to a short. And this is a short from Amala Ekpunobi. I hope I pronounced that name right. From PragerU. This is a short that she posted to her show that she runs for PragerU's channel about how you can be pro-life and also be pro-gun, because it makes total sense. This is only 60 seconds. I'm going to be pausing the video a lot, so if you don't like that, then...
If you truly are pro-life, you cannot be pro-life and also be pro-death penalty and be pro-guns. There's just no way that that is consistent. And
I mean, she's, in a way, she's 100% correct. I actually don't know who that was in that clip, but that's not the focus of the clip.
First things first, guns are about protecting yourself from a tyrannical government.
So, the first thing that Amala says is, guns are not there for you to, play whatever. Guns are there for you to protect yourself from a tyrannical government, and I don't think that this is something that needs to be said out loud, and I don't really have a whole lot to show anybody on this, but I found a really, really, really great article, and I'm not going to read the whole article because we'd be here all day. A really, really great article called Guns Will Not Save You from Tyranny by Ryan Cooper on theweek.com, and the very last paragraph, I think, is the best take that I've seen someone else have on it that's, similar to mine. All this is not to say that use of guns against state power cannot achieve political ends. It can, in rare cases. Those ends might even be worth achieving, like the Civil War. A long fucking time ago. But one has to connect means and ends, and the fact of overwhelming federal military power means that if a real tyranny does get going in the United States, no number of light arms is going to preserve your freedom. You may have reasons for wanting to keep your guns, but suggesting that your firearms provide some sort of bulwark against state tyranny is absolutely ludicrous. And it is. It's 100% ludicrous. Again, we live in the country with the world's most powerful, biggest, most expensive military by a margin. If it's exactly like Ryan Cooper says, if our government does decide one day, if they do decide that, you know what, we're just going to be a tyrannical government and we're going to do whatever the fuck we want to our citizens, your AR-15, your Colt 1911, I don't care what the fuck kind of gun you have or what kind of gun you think is going to be able to stop that, it's not going to, okay? If you think that you're going to be able to go up against the United States military, let alone the United States government, you are severely, severely mistaken. But let's continue with Amala here.
And be protecting you and your own family. So
she says, A, tyrannical government, you got to protect yourself from the tyrannical government because that'll totally work. And then B, protecting your family. But when you actually start to look at the science, guns are not really used for people to protect their families. And as far as guns making us safer, all the science, what do conservatives love to say? They love to say, follow the science. All of the science points towards guns making and creating more crime. And this is very real. This is a Scientific American article I found that's really good. It's also really long. I can't read the whole thing. The claim that gun ownership stops crime is common in the U.S., and that belief drives laws that make it easier to own and keep firearms. But about 30 careful studies show more guns are linked to more crimes, murders, rapes, and others. Far less research shows that guns help. And this is, I have two Harvard articles here that I have brought up many times before. And in this one article, they pretty much say that there is no good evidence that using a gun in self-defense reduces the likelihood of injury. There is some evidence that having a gun may reduce property loss. Here, let me make this smaller so you guys can see it. But the evidence is equally compelling, and I think that this is the most important part right here. The evidence is equally compelling that having another weapon, such as mace, or a baseball bat, or pepper spray, or a whip, or whatever, a baton, whatever, will also reduce the likelihood of property loss. So even when you do say, well, I need it to protect my home, I need it to protect my whatever, other types of self-defense, other things that are not firearms are just as effective. But let's go back to, guns, protecting your family, guns keeping you safe. Again, guns are not used a million times each year in self-defense. This is something that Republicans love to claim. They love to claim that, there's 2 million self-defense uses for guns every year. It's not even close. But most reported self-defense gun uses are gun uses in escalating arguments and are both socially undesirable and illegal. We analyzed data from 2 national random digit dial surveys conducted under the auspices of Harvard Injury Control Research Center. Criminal court judges who read who read the self-reported accounts, of the purported self-defense gun use, rated a majority as being illegal, even assuming that the respondent had a permit to own and to carry the gun, and that the respondent had described the event honestly from his own perspectives. Firearms are used far more to intimidate than in self-defense. And lastly, guns in the home are often used to intimidate intimates than to thwart crime. And, not lastly, number 7 on this paper, and you guys can go and look up all these articles. I think that they are extremely great resources. Adolescents are far more likely to be threatened with a gun than to use one in self-defense. So if we're going to look at the science, which is what the conservatives do, they say, well, follow the science. If we're going to follow the science, then guns do not make us safer. Guns actually make us less safe. But the conservatives don't want to hear that. They don't want to actually look at the facts.
Really has nothing to do with whether or not you are pro-life or pro-choice.
Now, this is the part where I 100%, in my opinion at least, I disagree, but let's just examine her claim, using some science. Child and teen firearm mortality rate in the U.S. and peer countries. So right here, this little chart right here shows us how firearms are the leading cause of death among adolescents in the United States, and then it shows us a bunch of other highly developed nations and where they stand in adolescent gun mortality rates. And as you can see here, America is number 1 by a margin. Australia, leading cause of death of adolescents, guns is 11. Okay, guns is 11. Austria, 9. Belgium, 9. Canada, 5. Canada is actually higher than I thought it was going to be. France, 8. Germany, 13. Japan, 15. Japan's 15th leading cause of death in adolescents is guns. I wonder why that is. Japan has some very strict gun laws, and I have on this channel many times before, and I don't have this stuff pulled up, said that we should try to be more like Japan when it comes to firearms, because they have a very low mortality rate when it comes to firearms over in Japan. The Netherlands, 13. Sweden, 9. Switzerland, 6. And the UK, 15. Much like Japan, the 15th leading cause of death in adolescents. Firearms. But in the U.S., it's number 1. So much higher on this list than all of these other nations. Why? Because we have a gun problem in this country. Again, it's cause and effect. And this is a chart that I love bringing up too. This is a chart that I brought up many times before. It literally shows over the years. The chart down here starts at 1999. You guys can't see it, but it goes all the way to 2020. And as you can see, firearm-related injuries among adolescents they have surpassed motor vehicle accidents. That's where we're at in this country right now. And Amala from PragerU is sitting there saying, it has nothing to do whether you are pro-life or, pro-choice. It actually has a lot to do with it, because if you're going to sit there and say that you are pro-choice, or pro-life, if you're going to sit there and say you're pro-life, you cannot turn around and then say, I'm 100% unabashedly pro-guns. It doesn't work. And I feel like the best example I found here is a Washington Post article written by someone named Rob Schneck, who I had never heard of, who says, I am an evangelical preacher, you can't be pro-life and pro-gun. And I read this entire article, and again, I can't read this whole article because we would just be here all day long. But in this article, I do have to pull this up here. And this is the one part of the article that I thought it was incredible. But I disagree with my community's wholesale embrace of the idea that anyone should be able to buy a gun. In the paragraphs above, he was talking about how evangelicals are some of the biggest proponents of, anti-gun control. They don't want gun control. They're pro-guns. For one thing, our commitment to the sanctity of human life demands that we err on the side of reducing threats to human life. And our belief in the basic sinfulness of humankind should make us skeptical of the NRA's slogan, the only way to stop a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun. The Bible indicates that we are all bad guys sometimes. Again, if you're going to look at it like this evangelical pastor is looking at it, if you're going to look at it from this Christian standpoint that these people love to use, then it doesn't make sense for you to be pro-life, completely anti-abortion, no abortions, and then also pro-gun, because I've already stated multiple times, shown you all the evidence that guns are the leading cause of death among adolescents, and I feel like this is just an amazing take. I don't agree with a lot of things that many pastors say. I'm just going to be honest with you guys. But I think that this is incredible, 100% perfect take on this. But again, let's continue with Amala here. Maybe she'll be able to make this case. spoiler, she never does.
And in a society where we have many people calling for defunding the police, guns are becoming more and more important to us as individuals.
So then she says, and as we live in a society where more people are calling for defunding the police, guns are becoming more and more important to us as individuals. So she's advocating for vigilante justice, it sounds like there. I definitely don't agree with that at all, 100%. What happened to Law and Order? But this is another, it's just a straight lie, okay? There's police departments around the United States. They are not being defunded. In fact, they are receiving more funding than they ever have before. This ABC News article from October 16, 2022 says, despite funding claims, police funding has increased in many U.S. cities. Of 109 budgets analyzed, 91 agencies have upped police funding by at least 2%. And they show you all of the numbers down here. They have all of these graphs for the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office was one of the ones they looked at because the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office is one of the biggest departments in the entire country. And I also found another really amazing article from Philip Bump over at the Washington Post, where he analyzes all of the numbers of police spending over the past 60 years. And he says, over the past 60 years, more spending on police hasn't necessarily meant less crime. And he is 100% right about that. In 1960, about $2 billion was spent by state and local governments on police. There were about 1,887 crimes per 100,000 Americans, including 161 violent crimes. By 1980, spending had increased to $14.6 billion, and crime rates had soared to 5,950 crimes per 100,000 Americans and 597 violent crimes. Over the next two decades, those rates thankfully fell down to about 4,120 crimes per 100,000 people and 507 violent crimes. Spending spiked to more than $67 billion. 18 years later, by 2018, the most recent year for which full data are available, crime rates had fallen further to 2,580 crimes per 100,000, including 381 violent crimes. Spending that year topped $137 billion. The figures above aren't adjusted for inflation. If we make that adjustment, the pattern since 1960 looks like the chart below. Crime and spending increasing at a similar pace until the early 1990s, when crime rates began to drop, but spending kept soaring. So, again, it doesn't matter which angle you look at it. Every single thing that Amala has said so far is categorically incorrect. It's just not right.
Also, pro-gun advocates don't typically use their guns to take innocent life.
This is one that I can't show you guys anything. I don't know what the fuck she's talking about. I mean, like, I can pull stuff out of my ass, too, and just make up random shit. She says most of the time pro-gun advocates don't kill people. I don't even know. Where are you getting that from? Yes, the fuck they do. People with guns, they kill people. It's a gun problem. I don't know how to even respond to that. Most of the time, pro-gun advocates don't pull out their guns and kill people. How the fuck do you know that? How the fuck do you know that? There is no way to measure that. There is no way for her to know that. I don't know how she even seriously just said that in this video.
And let's move on to the death penalty part. I personally don't know how I feel about the death penalty, but let me explain to you why somebody can be pro-life and pro-death penalty.
She's not going to make a case for it at all. It's not even a weak case. What she says, what's coming up, what she's about to say, does not make any fucking sense. It literally makes me feel bad for this person because I cannot believe she is this goddamn dumb. But this is what I'm going to say, and my personal opinion, I am 100% anti-death penalty. I do not believe in the death penalty. I do not think the death penalty is something that should be instituted ever. I do not think we should be using the death penalty. That is not up to anyone on this earth to take another person's life, okay? You do not get to take someone else's life just because someone else took a life. Even if it's a murder. I don't support any of that stuff, but I am 100% anti-death penalty. But again, if you're going to be one of these people that says abortion is murder, guess what? The death penalty is murder too. It's the same thing. You can't say, I'm pro-life, but I'm pro-death penalty. The two are diametrically opposed. You can't, if you are pro-death penalty, you're not pro-life. And if you are pro-life, you are not pro-death penalty. You cannot be both. You can't, unless you're a fucking idiot and you don't really have morals or grounds that you can really stand on.
Being pro-life is about protecting innocent life. Babies. Being pro-death penalty is about a punishment for somebody who has been deemed not to be innocent. Typically murderers, you know. Still,
the death penalty is still murder. It's still murder because who gave anybody the right to put someone on death row and end their life? Who gave them that right? No one gave them that right. God didn't give... In the Bible, it says, thou shalt not kill. That's what it says. It's the 6th commandment, if I am not mistaken. Thou shalt not kill. So if we're going to use this quasi-Christian bullshit standard here, then you can't be pro-death penalty and pro-life, dumbass. It's that fucking simple. It's that fucking easy. I'm getting a little frustrated here because I cannot believe how big of a reach this dumbass has.
And like I said, I'm on the fence about the death penalty because sometimes innocent men and women are convicted. And
well, if you're on the fence about the death penalty, then maybe you just shouldn't be speaking about it. If you don't have your mind made up about it, how about you shut the fuck up about it until you can, apparently come to a conclusion, because it's that hard of an issue for you. And again, if you're pro-life and you are pro-death penalty, I'm not even going to be able to take you seriously. I can't take this person seriously. But again, if you don't have an opinion on it, shut the fuck up. What the fuck are you even speaking on it for?
sentenced to death. Not something I want on my hands. But can't you see how somebody could logically hold pro-death penalty views and pro-life views at the same time?
No, because you didn't make the case for it, dumbass. You didn't say anything at all. None of what you just said made sense. She did not make the case for it. She said people are bad, so they deserve to die. That was her argument for being pro-life and pro-death penalty. That was what it boiled down to. People are bad. People are evil. Okay. I mean, you know what? She changed my mind. Yeah, she totally changed my mind. Obviously, I'm 100% joking about that. But that's going to be it for the video. Guys, please let me know what you thought of the video. Let me know what you thought about what I said. Let me know what you thought about Amala Ekpunobi. I hope I pronounced that name right again. If I didn't, please correct me in the comments. But hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, press that little bell, and turn on all notifications so you guys never miss an upload.